Okay, there's people joining. All right, thank you everyone for joining. Now we're going to be talking about how to leverage some of these tools, Zoom, Hangouts, as well as some other tools in terms of creating asynchronous content. If you have any questions, do feel free to put them in the chat. Luckily, Eric is out of his 1 o'clock meeting, so now he can man the chat room. All right, share my screen. Much of the information that we're going to go over today is already on our transitioning to remote teaching webpage that was distributed earlier in the week. One of the questions is, how do I offer synchronous lectures and meetings, and how do I pre-record asynchronous lectures? I'm going to do my best to show all 4 examples of what we have available to record lectures, being Zoom, Screencast-O-Matic, exporting PowerPoint as MP4s, and then Google Hangouts as well. Before we jump into the actual tools, though, I'm going to steal a part of a presentation that Eric gave earlier this semester regarding the pedagogy behind videos and podcasts when you're creating e-lessons and online content, or really any asynchronous content. Some figures here, really more just some food for thought. How people are accessing and streaming videos, smartphones, computers, through gaming consoles, tablets, and TVs. And then also, if you notice, the majority of all generations use YouTube at least once a week. So I like YouTube as a platform for hosting and sharing videos. However, I know that there's a lot of detractors, a lot of reasons why faculty or people in general are hesitant to put their information on YouTube. Sometimes it's intellectual property. We don't know who's viewing it, or we don't know who has access to it. Sometimes it's YouTube is not seen as a learning platform, which I immediately dispute. I used this anecdote earlier this morning, and I'll echo the sentiment again. I don't know how anyone owned a home before YouTube. I give anyone who owned a home or a car so much credit for doing so before YouTube. I mean, I'm on it monthly, if not more often, how to, change a bathroom faucet, or how to, what did I do? I rerouted my dryer exhaust from, one side of the house to the other side of the house, but just like short snippet videos. And that is actually kind of leads me into the next slide, or not. Talking about the length of videos as well. Looking at the graph here, student engagement drops off significantly with the length of the video, as the length of the video increases. Our office always recommends a max of about 8 minutes. Ideally, 6 minutes is usually that tipping point where attention spans and engagement starts to drop off. Things that go beyond 12 minutes, you can see 12 to 40 minutes, engagement is significantly lower. use the other anecdote because I think it's somewhat relatable. This past September and October, we get the email for the annual sexual harassment training that everyone is required to take. In the email, it says this training takes approximately 48 minutes. When we read that email, we're like, I don't have 48 minutes. So you mark it as unread and you leave it in your inbox until you get back to it again. However, when you actually get into the training, what did they do? They chunk them down into much smaller sections, and it says this takes 3 minutes to accomplish, this takes 7 minutes to accomplish, this one takes 9 minutes to accomplish. And it made it more manageable. And you're like, well, I don't have 48 minutes, but I can knock out this 6-minute session before my next meeting or before my next class. Students learning will do the exact same thing with our lectures. So if we're offering asynchronous lectures, do everything we can to not offer a 40, 60, 90-minute lecture, but rather let's break that down into a series of related lectures of 6 to 8 minutes long. We give them unique titles, and that does a number of things. If I'm a student and I'm like, you know what, I need a refresher on that one particular topic, I'm less likely to hit play on a 60-minute video and search that seek bar at the bottom for where I need that information. But if there's 5 videos listed with accurate titles, oh, this is the area I need reinforcement on, and they revisit that one particular video. I know when I'm searching the YouTube videos for home repair or auto repair advice, I see a 12-minute video, I see a 2-minute video. Which one am I checking out first? Probably the 2-minute video. The other reason, and it's down here at the bottom, I don't really necessarily, it's listed last. But the other reason I recommend YouTube is because it has an automated closed caption feature. It will auto caption your video. Not quite as accurate as we saw that awesome Google Hangout real-time speech to text if you attended the last hour session, but it is pretty accurate in terms of creating a synchronized closed caption for your video. And then if there are inaccuracies, it gives you the option to go in and edit them. So that's why I like YouTube. But you'll also notice that when I share my videos, I share them through Google Drive. So both of them have their positives and negatives, but we're gonna go over which ones are really go over the functionality of both, and you can pick and choose what is most appropriate for you. Zoom is a capture tool. I'm gonna go through this one relatively quickly because I'm in Zoom. I can't actually demonstrate Zoom. But Eric did a fantastic job of creating animated GIFs of what you would see when you're using Zoom. So we're gonna see a couple of those. But if you're using Zoom to record, you would basically start a meeting. Nobody has to join it. You just share your screen, or in this case, you share a portion of your screen, and you begin recording. So I'm sharing my screen, I'm recording. It's now recording whatever I'm doing on my screen as well as my webcam. So I'm building my e-lecture. After I click End Meeting, and here's an example, start the meeting, share my screen, go to Advanced to share just a portion of it. So you're gonna see just what's in that green window is actually going to be recorded. That allows you to record your PowerPoint or your Google slide without actually being in presentation mode. Going to your options and choosing record, and then the GIF starts over. But once you're recording, you'll get the notification in your top left corner. I did that earlier today too. In the top left corner, that it's recording. You can pause the recording without having to stop the share. So if you need to bring up a new item or something like that, or you got to take a bathroom break in the middle of your own lecture or something like that, you can pause the recording and then hit resume when you return. Once you end the meeting, you'll get that pop-up in Zoom that it's automatically starting to convert, and it's saved in a folder. It creates a folder in your documents called Zoom, and then each meeting is saved in a subfolder. It gives you an MP4, it gives you an MP3, which is cool. It gives you an audio-only version of it. So if you want to share that, so students can drive around town listening to it on their iPod and stuff like that. I say that jokingly, but I did that in my undergraduate. I went to the media center and put my faculty lecture on CDs and drove around my city listening to my lecture notes. And then here's a GIF again of what that looks like. So you've been recording, you're ready to stop, pause the recording, end the meeting, end for all, and then it automatically pops up, convert your meeting to a recording, and it will display your recording in the folder for you. Again, so that's Zoom. Now we're going to show some of the other options that are available. The one being Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic, Damon does have a license for Screencast-O-Matic. If you go to screencastomatic.com, and there's hyphens between on both sides of the O, Screencast-O-Matic /Damon. We have a license that allows 25 computers to use this software per month. And at the end of each month, that resets again. That was previously 10, but last week, we jumped from 3 to 9 users overnight. So we elected to increase that. And then about 20 minutes later, we got an email about spending freeze. So I was happy that we got that increase in when we did. But to use Screencast-O-Matic, you can download and install it so it runs on your computer. You can also run it from a browser. So I click Start Recording. It tells me you need to download the launcher, prompts me automatically. And I did that this morning, so that's why it was labeled 01. But I run it. It does go relatively quickly, but this is what it looks like. Very similar to Zoom if you're recording a portion of the screen, but I have my handlebars here that I can extend or reduce. I can record my entire screen if I choose. But anything within this recording window will be recorded once I start recording. You'll notice my webcam is also kind of grayed out here. I can choose to record just my screen, just my webcam. Hello, everyone. Or both. Some other options, again, you can choose or not choose to share computer audio. So if sounds are going to be playing, if you're, I mean, I don't really want to insult anyone, but if we're still having like spaceship sounds in our PowerPoints or anything like that as things fly in. But if you choose, you can have computer audio on, or you can, I believe the default is to keep it off. Again, there are more preferences that go into that. You can set hotkeys for what will pause and what will stop. Again, not going to get too much into that, but I go ahead and I click record. It gives me the countdown, 3, 2, 1. Now I'm recording. You see that the handlebars around my frame have turned from black and white to red and white. The red lets me know that I am recording. If I were to pause, those handlebars go back to black, so I know that it's paused. If I resume, it gives me the countdown again. This pen down here gives me annotation tools that are up here at the top. I can draw arrows. I can highlight things. There are different, I can hide the cursor while I'm drawing, or I can show the cursor while I'm drawing, change the colors. Again, this is just a way that I'm not drawing on my PowerPoint or I'm not drawing on the website, but I can annotate my recording if I need to. And that's all being captured along with the screen capture. When I hit pause, it gives me the choice. Do I want to trash the whole thing and start over again? If I click done, it gives me the options to further edit the video. There are some basic editing functions in here. If you need editing after you're done recording, this tool is probably the best feature for that over that of Zoom and Hangouts. However, the one thing that I do say is that if you use Zoom or Hangouts, you can also upload it to Screencast-O-Matic and edit it after the fact as well. But I can go ahead and click save, and it has produced my video for me. Now I'm recording. You see that the handlebars around my... And now I don't know. Yep, and I didn't. Around my frame have turned from black and white to red and white. I still have the ability to edit, even though I'm viewing the video, so I can click edit, and it gives me some basic features. Around my cursor, I can choose to show or hide the cursor. I can also edit what the halo around the cursor looks like. And what I mean by that, let me see if I can play it and get to a point where my cursor was actually in the screen. Down again. This pen down here gives me annotation tools that are up here at the top. I can choose to display my webcam or not display my webcam. That's weird. Was it? I thought it was supposed to be. Can I drag that? Yeah, it's just off to the side. There we go. But you'll see that the webcam and the screen recording are actually recorded on two different layers. So if I want to reduce the size of my cam, I can, so I'm not taking up valuable real estate on the screen. I can crop it if I want to make it a little bit more, again, just get me, not the entire background. I can reset it at any time. You can flip it. You can background color. So you can see if you had a plain background behind you, you can remove that. I could take the eyedropper and say I want that color gone. That's going to be part of my shirt. So if you wanted to, you know, just have you floating there without the background involved, that's a possibility. And then you can also mess with the opacity. The cool thing about this too is if you notice the timeline down here, you can change when your webcam is visible on the screen and when it's not. So if you want it to be visible for the start and then it fades away while you're giving your presentation and then it comes back at the end, that's a nice, I think it's a neat little feature because it allows you to have an instructor presence in your course, but it's also, you're not a distraction on screen for all 8 minutes or less, right? 8 minutes or less. I'm just going to keep saying that until we all either get annoyed or believe it too. But this is Screencast-O-Matic. Again, this is available. These are all my recordings. So I see my recording from earlier today as well as today. I can upload, I can import other recordings. So even if I recorded something in Zoom, but I wanted to edit it somehow in Screencast-O-Matic, I can add it after the fact. And then again, I can record directly from here. And once you've recorded, if what I can do is I can actually combine two videos, or if I've created a really long video and it's one video, I can split two videos relatively easily in Screencast-O-Matic as well. So not only do you get recording and editing, you also get storage and an ability to import external videos as well. So that's Screencast-O-Matic. There's a lot of supports and things like that available right through Screencast-O-Matic. I won't get into too much of this because we have a lot to cover today, but it is available. If you have more questions about it, we're more than happy to go over it with you. There is a small contingent on campus that loves Screencast-O-Matic. When we got Zoom, the question was posed to me, does that mean we can get rid of Screencast-O-Matic? And I defended it. I said, absolutely not, because I know that there's people who use it, I don't want to say religiously, but they utilize it. And if people are utilizing it, it makes sense to have it available. It's a limited number of machines. Our license gives us 25 machines per month. Previously, it was 10 machines per month could use it. And the first of every month, it resets. From the time I got here, I've been here almost 2 years. From the time I got here till this month, we never hit that limit of 10. Still, even the last time I checked, we were at 9. But knowing that, I was leading a presentation on sharing it, but more people would probably be utilizing it, we upped it from 10 to 25 this month. Yes, it makes you download at least a player for you to be able to, it's a very brief exe file to run and install, but it prompts you to do it automatically. If you click start recording, it won't let you record until it's installed. So that's Zoom and Screencast-O-Matic. The next one I'll show is Hangouts, which for those of you who were with me the previous hour, we've kind of already seen this, so this is going to be extremely abbreviated. But Hangouts works very similar to Zoom in terms of I can start a video call. You can give it a name if you choose. You do not need to. Checks my webcam and my mic. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click record. One thing that Hangouts does that Zoom doesn't is when you start a recording, it actually asks for consent to record from everybody in the room. So people are aware that they're being recorded. Zoom does announce this meeting is being recorded. And it has the indicator in the top left corner. Finally got that right. But it does actually pull up a prompt for anyone in your Hangouts. Hey, this is being recorded. So I'm recording. If I click present now, again, I can present my entire screen or just a window. So if I present my entire screen, I can toggle to my presentation. And now I'm recording a lesson on embedding your e-lessons for video podcast e-lessons using Zoom. Obviously, I'm just stealing certain slides from this presentation, but I can go ahead and I can stop sharing. And I'm toggle back to my Hangout session. I can stop my recording. And I can hang up the call. It's automatically, similar to how Zoom creates a folder in your documents, Meet automatically creates a folder in your drive called Meet Recordings. And when you open up that recording, your recording will be there waiting for you. The one that I just did, it does take a second or two to process. This was one I did in the previous session. You can see in the top left-hand corner, the recording has started. Could have been the exact same one because I think I said the exact same thing. But that automatically saves in Drive for you, which is nice. It saves a step rather than saving it locally. So that's creating the video in Hangout. So we're 3 out of 4. We're almost there. Our last one is PowerPoint, which for some faculty is probably the most streamlined way to turn your existing lectures into a video. But I have my existing PowerPoint slides here. If I go to insert, I can insert audio and I can record audio directly in PowerPoint, and I can embed my audio. Recording audio on slide 1. Welcome to my slide 1 presentation. Here's my audio. I can repeat that on slide 2. Today's objectives can be seen on slide 2. Whoops. On slide 3, I am recording audio that is longer than 5 seconds on purpose to prove a point. When we export, although the default setting is to only show the slide for 5 seconds, you'll see that if your audio is longer than that 5-second minimum, PowerPoint will know to remain on that slide beyond that 5-second minimum until the media has finished playing. So just build one new slide to show. So I've completed narrating my entire lecture now. I can go to File and Export. One of my choices is Create Video. And here it gives me some options. It asks about the quality. I recommend internet quality. It will reduce the size of it, but still be a nice enough quality for your students to have a pleasant learning experience. Low quality, it might be a little bit pixelated, a little granulated. Presentation quality, you're dealing with enormous file sizes, upload times, and things like that. So I recommend internet quality. Again, notice it says seconds spent on each slide. This field is for any slide that does not have audio on it. So if any slide that doesn't have a narration will show for however many seconds I tell it to in this field. If it does have audio on it, that audio file trumps that 5 seconds, and it will play that, display that slide and play the audio in its entirety before advancing. So I click, I don't think I got anything down here. So I click Create Video. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. PowerPoint to MP4. And down here at the bottom, I see a little gray status bar. Right now it's converting my PowerPoint to a MP4. Depending on the size and the length, obviously that could take longer or shorter. But because, you know, we're going to be keeping all of these to 8 minutes or less, it's not going to take too long. Shouldn't be taking this long, to be honest. Yes. Mm-hmm. Talking about record slideshow? Yes. Yeah. That's a good question, and that's one of the questions that frequently comes up when we talk about this. Inserting audio, does it slide by slide? Record slideshow allows you to both record the timings of the clicks. So if you have transitions, if you have elements moving in, you can also record both the audio and the clicks of all of the presentation. And that's where under export, one of the options is don't use recorded timings and narrations. If I had recorded timings and narrations, I could choose that as one of the options. So if you wanted to control doing the way that I did it, it's going to play the end of the audio, go to the next slide, play to the end of the audio, go to the next slide, play to the end of the audio. If you recorded your own timings, clicks, pauses, and things like that, you can choose to use those instead of the default. But I think I'm done converting down here. So now in my documents, I have PowerPoint to MP4. Recording audio on slide 1. Welcome to my slide 1 presentation. Today's objectives can be seen on slide 2. On slide 3, I am recording audio that is longer than 5 seconds on purpose to prove a point when we export. Although the default setting is to only show the slide for 5 seconds, you'll see that if your audio is longer than that 5-second minimum, PowerPoint will know to remain on that slide beyond that 5-second minimum until the media has finished playing. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5. Done. So, quick demonstration on how you can pretty rapidly turn a existing presentation into a video. It's also a nice way is if you do it slide by slide and you need to make changes semester over semester, you only have to edit a couple of things, whereas if you recorded something in Zoom, you know, you might have to record the whole thing or parts of the whole thing. That's another, I guess, reason to chunk the videos into smaller, because if you need to make changes semester to semester, if I have a series of 5 videos that are 5 minutes each, maybe I only have to edit one of the videos rather than create a whole 25-minute lecture again. You had a question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. You can annotate and add your own expertise over top of the existing PowerPoint. Yep. Are we good in the chat? Okay. So now we have a number of videos created. We did a Zoom video, we did a Hangouts video, we did a PowerPoint to MP4 video, and we did a Screencast-O-Matic video. So now what do we do with them? Well, again, my recommendation, which it does not, you do not have to follow this recommendation, but my recommendation is to utilize YouTube. YouTube is a Google product, so your damon.edu gives you access to Google. You can see I listen to a lot of Offspring sometimes when I'm in my office. To upload a video to YouTube, an existing one, it's a relatively quick process, and they embed very nicely in Blackboard. Again, it's not a requirement. It is a personal preference. You can choose to share a link and send them to YouTube, or you can embed the YouTube video in the class. I like to embed it so they can view it right in the class. One of the main reasons is if you link them to YouTube and now they're on YouTube, you never know when they're coming back. But I'll demonstrate what I mean by that. So here, I'm going to click the camera with the plus sign. I'm gonna move my Zoom controls out of the way. And I'm gonna upload my existing video. Pretty straightforward. Select a file. And I'm gonna pull up that PowerPoint to MP4 that I just created. I can give it a title. PPT to MP4 sounds good to me. You can see processing the video. It's going to give you a choice of 3 thumbnails. The image that's going to display before a user presses play. If none of the recommended thumbnails are to your liking, you can also upload an independent image that's unique. So here you see slide 1 is one of my available thumbnails. If this was the name of the presentation, that might be one that you'd want to go with. But then it just takes intermittent screenshots throughout. I'll go with slide 1. There's some other options down here. whether your video is intended for kids or not, and also if you wanted to put an age restriction on there or not, whether it's for 18 viewers over 18 only. Now, I'm not going to criticize the content anyone is creating in their courses. You know, use these accordingly. Probably won't make a whole lot of difference though, because I don't think many of us are going to be sharing ours publicly. The options for visibility, as I click over to my third, are public, which means everyone can see this video, that it's searchable. It shows up in people's recommended videos. It shows up in related videos. So if someone's watching a video that had on a similar content of what you're talking about, yours can show up as, hey, you watch this, maybe you'll like this too. That's public. That's not what I recommend. My recommend is unlisted. Unlisted means that your lectures will not show up in search results. They will not show up in recommended videos, but anyone who has the link can access it. Private is only individuals that you identify can access it. And maybe that is something that you choose if you wanted to copy and paste your roster into the, again, because it's damon.edu, so they can log into their damon.edu and access these videos. It's an extra step, it's an extra barrier, because if the students, if students logged into both a personal Gmail and a Damon on Chrome, it may say the first time that you don't have access, and they may not know to toggle to their daemon. So I say it's another barrier, but it is another level of protection if you choose that, from a, protecting your intellectual property point of view. That also prevents it if the students start sharing it beyond the classroom. If they're not on the list, it doesn't matter, they can't view it anyway. The other one is scheduled. However, this is only for public. You can schedule when it exactly when it becomes available, and then when it will no longer become available. So that's an option as well. But like I said, my recommendation is unlisted. It won't show up in search results, won't show up in recommended videos. But if you embed it in your class, anyone that has access to the class has access to the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my video link. If I saved this, it would take me to my studio, and I can just copy the link here as well. And I did demonstrate putting a YouTube video in Blackboard yesterday. I think most of the people attending did attend yesterday. But I'll demonstrate it again because it shows how quickly we can go from I opened a PowerPoint, recorded my slides, clicked export, and now that's the one from this morning. Add content, embed video, insert. Now my video is in my class. This is an embedded video. Like I said, you can choose if you want to link to it. You can do something like what's going on here? Okay. PPT to MP4. I can hit the hyperlink and I can link to it so that my students can click it and it takes them to YouTube. Again, that's an option, not necessarily something I recommend because like I said, once somebody's on YouTube, who knows when they're coming back. That option is also available in Original, which I will demonstrate very quickly as well. We're doing all right on time. I usually do it as an item, so create item. no, PPT to MP4 afternoon. Very similar icon. Insert, edit, embedded media. If I paste my URL in there, when I click out of this field, two things are going to happen. One, the dimensions are automatically going to be recognized, and the type is going to automatically identify itself. So it's saying it's an iframe, and these are the recommended dimensions. I can change this if I want it a little bit bigger or if I want a little smaller, as long as I keep that constrained proportions box checked. It will maintain the same ratio. Again, I can add text around this element. Watch this video. And I click submit. There's my video in the court, and an error occurred. Sure it did. Copy. Oh, does it?
Yeah. I ran into that issue earlier.
Yeah, that's not the... Copy link to clipboard. Oh. Making me look like a fool, Blackboard. Got a different error.
It's just this one video doesn't want to cooperate.
I know, it worked so smoothly this morning. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just want to clarify the process, the overarching process. What I made a note of is you developed the PowerPoint lecture. Recommendation is to upload it to YouTube in private, unidentified space. From there, then embed it into Blackboard.
Correct.
That would be preferred over using Drive.
I don't know that I would necessarily say overdrive, but one of the reasons we very much prefer it is because YouTube auto captions. So
That's
where Drive does not. So it does give it a leg up in that sense.
Thank you. I'm trying to develop my own understanding of best practices because you guys have so much experience from advanced college, and you're giving us lots of options. What I'm trying to do is judiciously merge on,
I understand.
so that I kind of know what I'm gonna do next. Is Peter finished yet? Because I could ask a couple of other questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, no, ask away.
So the use of Screenmatic, I think I'm in. If they let me in, that means I have access to it.
Yes.
I went in, I downloaded it, and I was able to start recording, and then I stopped. Okay. A mouse pad you were using
Whatever.
yesterday, I love your mouse pad.
That was with Zoom yesterday.
So that's a Zoom pad.
Correct. Screencast-O-Matic also.
Oh, yeah, I can turn that on.
You can follow the mouse around as you're recording something.
Okay, so the mouse.
And actually, believe it or not, PowerPoint does as well.
Okay.
So if you did want to use that with PowerPoint, I
Yeah.
just can't recall where to find that. I know I've played with it, but it was a while ago.
Yeah, like I just turned the spotlight. It's called the spotlight on the annotation tool, so it follows my mouse around, and it'll, when I click, it'll depress and show what I'm clicking on. Yeah, I mean I got it to work, but it was demonstrating that whether you're sharing a video to YouTube, all you need to do is copy that URL and hit the embed media icon in the text editor. If you're embedding a video from Drive, now this one was the one that acted up this morning. But what you can do, and I'll go ahead and get out of here. I'll add it to the top here instead of scrolling all the way to the bottom. But you can upload from your cloud storage. And because my Google Hangout video was recorded directly to my Drive folder earlier today, Meet Recordings, I can see there's the one from today at 6:34 p.m. So I'm guessing I don't know how this one was recorded 3 hours from now. But I'm going to go ahead and click the one. So based on the processing time, what we found that has happened is if you upload a video to it allows the students to download your video, which is not necessarily what we want. So I'm going to have to continue to troubleshoot why a Hangout video doesn't directly embed. But to give you an idea of what the functionality normally looks like is I will embed from cloud or upload from cloud storage. I'll go to a previous session that we led. Zoom recordings. And this is just effective discussion design. But again, it puts the video very nicely right in line with the rest of my lesson. So it can be surrounded by the readings that accompany it. It can be immediately followed by assignments or things like that. If I click play, it'll play right in line. Hey, somebody else's voice. Sounds good.
Eric Hill, I work.
Sounds good. That's pretty much it. We went over 4 different ways to create the videos. We went over different ways to share, whether it's linked to them or embed them. Again, while best practices say that if you're adding videos to courses, they should, ADA compliance says that it should be synchronized closed caption. That's the primary reason why we recommend YouTube, because YouTube will auto caption it. However, I can't say that we're not held to the standard of the law, because of course we're held to the standard of the law. But in terms of accessibility, We are not designing online courses. We are transitioning face-to-face courses to remote teaching. So your videos are not necessarily held or scrutinized to the same standard of that of a course that's being reviewed for online instruction. I say that, you know, knowing Dr. Brogan, Matt, and Liz feel the same way, that we are not converting our entire campus to fully online courses. We are simply transitioning our face-to-face courses to remote teaching. Very particular in the terminology, but very critical as well. Yes. Yes. I mean, we need to meet the requirements of the accreditors and everything like that, but that doesn't mean that every single one of our courses has to meet that of the Quality Matters rubric or anything like that.
Peter,
yes.
Question came through.
Awesome.
What is the difference between embedding and copy pasting the link up platform?
Embedding is what you see here, where the video is playing in line with the rest of my text, whereas pasting a link, this is a hyperlinked text, but what I can also do in terms of accessibility, just pasting the URL is a possibility, but it's not a recommendation in terms of accessibility. This hyperlinking the text is more appropriate, but that's really still a personal preference. Both embedding the video, I'm going to do this, both embedding the video up here and hyperlinking the text down here, they both meet accessibility standards. Well, assuming this was closed caption, but they're both acceptable practices and ways of directing them to the video. It's just a matter of personal preference. Do you want to put it in line and take up your screen's real estate? If they're assigned to watch multiple videos, perhaps you'd hyperlink, watch this title, and this title, and they're bulleted so they know that they have to watch those. And something that I do, and this is just a personal preference, I don't know the exact length of this, but like I actually like to put in, just like they failed to do in the original email of the sexual harassment training, but it was available online. It's just a really nice touch. I like to put in how long each video is so that the students can expect and plan and know what they're in for when they click that. Because if I click that, I see 22 minutes, boom, I'm immediately deleting it. And now I don't know if, you know, I've come back to that or not. So it's just a nice recommendation for your learners to be transparent like that. It's also a really nice way for you to kind of start tracking, okay, how many hours of work do I have in this week's module? Well, if I know they have X amount of hours or X amount of minutes in lecture and they're doing an activity or a quiz that is limited, or a time limit of 20 minutes or 30 minutes, like you can kind of start to add up, like, do I have my seat time requirements met? That's my time. You've all been great. Any other questions before I close the Zoom? Hey, Meet is an extension of Hangouts. So like the calendar, if you're scheduling a Meet, what is this? Oh, no. If you're scheduling something on Meet, I would start with the calendar appointment, and then it's a matter of adding the web conference. Hangouts is the platform. And no, that's fine. No, this is super confusing. This is super confusing. It says Hangouts Meet. So Hangouts is like if you and I were chatting on Hangouts, Yeah, so like this is Google Hangouts. This is where I can see all of my conversations once it loads. This is where I can see all my conversations with different people. And so like Hangouts is the platform, and then Meets, like on my Gmail, I have Hangouts, but I don't have Meets. So when I start a video call, the video call is the Meets. You'll see that it even changed to meet.google.com instead of Hangouts. So that's the video chat, the web conferencing portion of Hangouts is a product called Meet. That's where I go, yeah. When I put it on the calendar, one of the options for my calendar invite is add conferencing. So if I add that conferencing link, anyone who has this invite link will also be past that. And even if I don't invite people, like I've mentioned, you don't have to add guests. You could just copy this URL and send it to other people in Blackboard through email. But that's just to create the session. I gotta remember to delete all these fake appointments I made. Yeah, I bet even when Eric's not in the session, he gets just added to absolutely everything. Google Classroom or like calendar invites, Meet invites, Blackboard courses.
Okay, so I joined it, except it says, oh, it doesn't exist, already been deleted. Oh, okay, there was anything.
I needed someone else to add. I updated my Zoom, Torsten, so I can give you the clap and the thumbs up.
Do. Excellent.
Excellent. All right.
No, it's
Hopefully
kind of
this was
during classes, you know, it is.
Hopefully this was helpful for you.